even if you went into your marriage or your relationship, you have your mission statement, you have your independence and your identity, and you're a great unit together, and we're going to come first, and you have all the protection in place, you have all your plans in place, you might still get into the 7-year itch.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've gone into it with everything thinking you've done it the right way. How do you regroup? How do you do that?
Two voices in the kitchen light, laughing while the day unwinds, talking through the tangled lines. You and me, we're on your side, asking for a friend. We've all been there, it's fine. Corey and Rosanne, saying what's on your mind. A little heart, a little mess, and the truth in the end. You're never on your own, you're just asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Are we on?
Oh, were we live?
No, it's good. We go. Oh, we live. We're going live.
We're going live.
No.
Hey, 5, 4.
We are kind of live.
We are kind of,
Yeah,
because
I
we don't edit ourselves. So yeah, here we are, live from Studio 1A. That's something else. Anyway, hi Rosanne.
Show. Hi, Corey.
So we have talked a little bit about learning how to argue in relationships, and to do that without anger,
Yeah.
right?
Which is, it's easier said than done.
I was going to say, great concept.
Mm-hmm.
But learning how to compromise is such a big thing in a relationship. All of that really comes out to say there's some level of conflict, right? That there's a difference of opinion. There's a different way of doing things. You've spent enough time with my husband and I to know that I do things in a very particular way.
But you know what I
maybe he
noticed
does not.
too? I noticed, probably you more than Gary. Sorry, Gary. But that you don't fall for the hook. Like, there are moments where you can get in there and kind of go at it.
Sure.
There are so many of those moments, not just with you.
I am a Scorpio.
Right. As an Aquarius, I just become quite aloof. Like, I don't
Donkey,
see you.
sloth.
Yeah, right? What? Interesting. But I see that, like, in healthy couples, they're not always taking the bait. It's so easy to take the bait.
Yeah.
And to go
so
at
easy.
it. Mm-hmm.
So easy.
This is, who was I talking to about this? I can't remember, but we were talking about the 7-year itch. And is it real? And I say, and I don't know like the research on this at all, but I can tell you from personal experience, and as well as from working with couples, as well as individuals for so many years, that it's absolutely real.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, because in the beginning of a relationship, right, we come together and usually it's like, it's rainbows and butterflies, and hopefully if you've kind of, worked through your stuff before you come into the marriage or the long-term relationship, and you're not continuing to play it out there, because it's really easy to do that. But oftentimes it's that in that first year, the first year of a marriage can be difficult, because you're figuring out where the boundaries are. Like, you kind of get into this mindset of like, crap, I can't go anywhere.
I said forever to this person?
I said forever. I mean, there is. And
Mulligan.
some of you, maybe not. But if we're going to be honest, there is a lot of that experience. And so the first few years, there is this push and pull. And oftentimes, if you are, if you haven't worked through your stuff that you brought into your relationship with, it's going to keep coming up, keep coming up, keep coming up.
Yeah. Because you don't deal with it. You don't talk
deal
through
with
it.
Right. You don't talk through it. You don't recognize, oh, wait a minute. That's my old stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I was raised in a family where my voice was not heard. I was to be seen and not heard. And so now I want to be heard. And so you can find yourself in any given moment that you feel that old ping, like, oh, hell no, you're going to hear me. Right. And so, you're nodding because it's right. It's a very normal experience. But as you push through, you start to learn how to negotiate and compromise better.
Yeah.
But it's at that 7 years, like typically where you've had kids, typically, you guys, typically, right?
Sure.
Not all marriages or relationships bring children in, but very typically we have brought in our children and they are at this place where they have taken up so much of our time and effort and energy and attention that our relationship becomes dehydrated, for lack of a better word.
That's a good description.
Right?
Gets put on the back burner.
Uh-huh. And things will boil up. And it usually will take that time. Once you're typically around that 7 year, you're out of the fight or flight of babies and that piece where you're just kind of trying to keep your head above water. And the kids start to be a little bit more, they can tie their own shoes, they're in school most of the days, and there's still this unresolved stuff where it's like, what about me, what about me, what about me? And I often see that people will come in for therapy in that time. There are these kind of these certain times that will bring a couple in for therapy, or just an individual will come into therapy too. And a lot of times it's during these times, these transitional life cycle stages.
Does this feed into what we've talked about before with we lose ourselves? So do we can lose ourselves, misplace her, as we've said, in a relationship, but also in parenthood. And I don't have my own children, so I didn't go through that phase in either of my marriages. The first one, there were no children at all, and my husband has 4 children. So, but we don't have any together. So I'm kind of curious, does all of that kind of roll into it where we don't protect ourselves? We've talked about protecting a relationship, but maybe we don't protect ourselves from losing our own identity. Is that part of the 7-year itch that you see, is that we just kind of forget who we are?
Yeah. But there's always this kind of this voice, this throbbing, if you will, of what about me, what about me, what about me? And it's hard not to lose yourself in a marriage. We've talked about the importance of making sure that there's space for her, that, with friendships, with, your own identity, those types of things, because it's not just good for you, it's good for the relationship too.
Right.
I always tell people, people will, you hear that thing where it's like, he or she completes me, right? He's my other half.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's so stupid.
Not that you're so stupid, but it's
not.
It's so stupid. Yeah.
You have to. A healthy relationship is 2 wholes coming together and connecting in such a way where it's not compromising.
Are we back on sex and intimacy?
That's a different type of.
Okay. Sorry. Got distracted by the visual.
No, Corey, like two rings
circles,
coming together.
circles. Yeah, rings. Got it. Okay, I'm back on
Where they're able to move freely, but they're connected.
Yes.
Right? That's what.
Yes, because you have that. I know our family and marriage therapist has talked about how those circles overlap. So you're each partner in the marriage is a circle, but you overlap of who you are together, right?
Yeah, right.
Is
exactly.
that concept? Okay.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
it's where they
You had me
overlap.
thrown off with holes.
Maybe I should not put my finger.
This is
into
where
a hole.
Alicia would say, "I have the humor of a 12-year-old boy." Sorry. We'll
get to sex. I promise.
Okay.
Corey, we'll
Yeah.
get to
Maybe
sex.
I was feeling anxious. I had my notepad ready to take some tips and Just kidding. Okay, sorry. So you were talking about the circles and the overlap.
Okay. Yes, absolutely, right. And so we see how important it is in a long-term relationship. But now throw in a kid.
Yeah.
Now throw in another kid. Now throw in another kid, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe underneath all that, there was a kid from another relationship, which, girl, you and I, that is something that blended families are a whole series of episodes that I think we'll have to address because it's hard.
It's a very real thing.
It's a real thing. So we're juggling all of these things. We're holding all of these things. And so what is going to be oftentimes let go of is our own circle, our own needs. We've got babies that literally need us physically, and they are attached to us. Right? It's hard to find yourself in there.
Sure.
Right? And then it's a fine balance between being able to figure out motherhood for the first time, and then you still have a partner that needs attention too. Those postnatal relationship issues, they're intense. They're very intense. I love helping people through that time of their lives because it's so new to both partners. And they're figuring out how to keep a baby alive,
sure,
really, and at the same time, typically a new relationship as well, and plus there's hormones and all of the craziness,
sleep
that
deprivation,
comes. Right,
yeah,
right, and so
is that more? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is that more of that not being seen and not being heard that we've talked about?
To the nth degree.
Yeah.
Right. And that's oftentimes a really difficult time for fathers. We don't talk a lot about the father's needs. A new father, they should have as much, if not more, preparation and support because it's difficult. And granted, within about 3 months, you really start to be able to juggle things and manage things. But it's very common that even after that, what do they say, like 6 weeks of no physical sex, that even after that 3-month mark where you're figuring stuff out, couples haven't come back together. There's just not time. There's not time. There's not energy. It's not that important. And so losing yourself during that time is a very common thing. And losing a relationship during that time is such a common thing. Most people, don't get me wrong, they figure their way through it and they can come out typically unscathed, but there's damage and there are scars and wounds that can go with you through the next few years, if not the rest of your relationship, that build up these resentments and build up these typical patterns of kids first.
Yeah. I've heard you say it, and I've heard Alicia say it, that the marriage has to come first. That sounds really difficult to do when you have little ones. I mean, I don't know from experience, but I would think that would be really difficult. Do you think the 7-year has anything to do with, okay, we've had kids and now they're in school or in daycare full time, and okay, now maybe you do have a moment together as a couple and you don't know what to do with it?
You don't know what to
does
do with
any
it,
of it
yeah.
have to do with just kind of that timing of
I
the
think
kids are a
so.
little bit more self-sufficient?
I think so. I think there is more time and space, and the resentments have built up, and the relationship has not been tended to.
It hasn't been protected.
No, it
to
hasn't been
talk about
protected.
a previous topic.
Yeah.
Hasn't been protected. So how
feel
how
very
do you
fragile.
do that? So I want to go back to you. You recently talked about writing a letter for your neighbor's daughter who was getting married, and marriage is hard, and all of those things. But how do you tell a new couple how to protect the relationship so those vulnerabilities don't come in, and not only are they protecting the relationship, but going back to the circles are overlapping, you protect yourself
Yeah.
and your own identity and who you are, plus what this relationship and this family unit, if that's where somebody goes with their relationship, what that means. Like, how do you prevent it 7 years ahead of the 7-year itch? How do you do that?
When you said that, what Alicia had echoed in terms of the relationship has to come first. There's a therapy theory, and it's called structural family therapy. And it says there's different types of therapy theories that are a way of looking at problems in a relationship. I like structural family therapy because it talks to this exactly. It talks about how what needs to happen is at the top of this maybe like imagine almost like a family tree. At the top of it has to be a very clear connection between the couple, right? At the very top, with a very, very clear line that then separates the couple from the children, right? And so oftentimes we will see that what gets replaced with the couple is, and it's typically, and again, this is there. I've worked with many of same-sex marriage couples, and it's the same thing. So I'm going to say right now, it's usually the man that gets replaced
for the sake of example.
Right.
Sure.
But this happens in all couples, configurations, families especially. But the children take up so much of your headspace, your physical space. You read them in a way where it's, and it's almost like the husband or the father or the partner gets replaced or is off to the side, at least if he's not underneath. Right. And the children or the child is up there with typically the mother. Right. And of course, in the beginning, when we when we birth a child and they are reliant on us for their physical, if we're breastfeeding especially, it's a whole, it takes it's a whole nother layer. But I always encourage as quickly as possible to bring the partner in and make that be a part of
real bonding,
of his experience as well, because that's a typical time where I don't need you. We don't need you.
You have no purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that would be hurtful.
One of the very vulnerable times of a marriage is when you have small children, because of what we're talking about here. And so this is one of those times where you talked about becomes vulnerable to outside forces, if you will. Our needs, our partner's needs don't go away. They need to be heard. They want to be seen. And so it can become somewhat dangerous, if you will, right? And so protecting that from the very beginning, my husband would say that children, babies, little ones are like terrorists. They do. They hold you hostage.
Yeah.
They do. They hold you hostage.
You're
They
on their
hold-
schedule,
You are
no matter what you
yeah.
try to do there. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, they
Yeah.
hold the
That's a
relationship
great.
right. You guys know. Those of you guys that have small children, like you
Yeah.
try to have an intimate moment with your spouse, like a hug or a kiss. You've got a child right up there in between, being like, no. Mama, dada,
Yeah.
whatever. There's this
Mommy do.
constant, there's this constant parade of someone trying to get into between the two of you.
Yeah.
So it's so important during that time too.
Yeah, I would
Protect.
imagine, and I'm just saying this as somebody who hasn't had kids, and I'm not a therapist like you are, but I imagine that even if you went into your marriage or your relationship, you have your mission statement, you have your independence and your identity, and you're a great unit together, and we're going to come first, and you have all the protection in place, you have all your plans in place, you might still get into the 7-year itch.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've gone into it with everything thinking you've done it the right way. How do you regroup? How do you do that? Is that when you typically see people come into the office and we're just roommates now? Kind of going back to that topic,
Yeah.
but how would somebody get that back?
Right. It takes, we've talked about it, the importance of just being completely honest. And if you have created a space in your relationship from the very beginning of honesty to yourself and to not sacrificing yourself. So this is a good episode for women that are in it right now, as well as women that are thinking about, oh, I would love to be married. I'd love to have kids. Because how you go into it is so important, right? If you go into it blindly, thinking it's just going to be,
It'll all work out.
it'll all work out. It'll be fine.
It'll all work out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a donkey and you don't want to be a sloth.
Right.
So what's the tweener there?
Communication.
Communication. Oh, good answer.
Right.
Good answer.
We keep
Well,
talking
you didn't
about
have to think about that
No.
one. I was actually trying to think of an answer.
I wasn't even thinking
Did you see
that.
me?
No.
I was thinking.
That just showed up. Thank God. Sometimes.
Communication.
I know sometimes we
Yeah.
talked about before, or we've made comments about the way that we are perceived, and I know that oftentimes because I'm a therapist that I have all the right answers, but that just came to me just
Yeah.
like that. Sometimes I have no idea where this
It's
is going.
so true.
But it's so true. Communication.
everything comes down to that.
And the willingness and ability to just make space, number one, for yourself. Because I always say, even with like that structural family therapy thing, where it's, you're the couple is up here. I think what is not more important, but just as important, that each of those,
The circles.
so that you're both whole up here. So
And then would the overlapping be the next layer?
yeah,
So is this
the
a
couple,
book?
the
Is
couple.
The structural, what'd you call it again?
Oh, structural family therapy.
Yeah, is that a book?
Oh, well, there's a lot of.
Because I feel like we have a Rosanne's book club kind of,
I don't have
On
a
the
good book
horizon.
for structural family therapy, but
certainly, and maybe you can put that in our Instagram
Yeah.
comments about communication.
yeah, communication.
So important. And I think we've touched on this, that when, and I don't know how common this is, but when I've had less than ideal times in my life, I stopped communicating to everyone,
Yeah.
not just the partner, but to my friends too.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably an entire episode on its own, is just to
communication.
talk about communication. But this is really enlightening for me because I don't have kids. We, as similar as we are, and our lives and our paths have been very parallel, they've been also completely apart in the fact that I have a previous marriage. I only have stepchildren. So these are all good things for me to understand, that not just as a friend to you, but also as an HR professional, right? That all these things can come into place for us in our personal and our professional lives of
Oh, yeah.
just having a little bit of compassion about what somebody might be going through, and knowing that sometimes we kind of have to pull that communication out of people.
And I think too, as I'm thinking about this, and other people that are in my life, and I'm sure other you guys that are watching or listening, this is such a common theme for people,
Yes.
families,
Yeah.
couples, and so it's not spoken about. And when we
we don't talk about communication?
no one
The
learns how to do
irony
it.
is just too much for me.
I know. But there are certain, ways to communicate that are super important. So,
Super important.
But it's all part of the human experience. And I think
Yeah.
the more that we can talk about it, the more we can normalize it, the more it's easy to be able to communicate about it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, I'm always the one starting the episode with a question for you, but I also feel like I'm always ending them saying thank you, because this is so helpful. These reminders, even though I feel like my husband and I are good communicators, it doesn't mean we can't be better. It doesn't mean that we don't have times where we're not good about it. Is that a double negative? It's just a good reminder. So even if somebody is listening or watching and, that's not the vulnerability in my relationship. We've protected communication. Doesn't mean we can't use a little refresher,
Right. And it's
a reminder
never
about it.
too early or too late to
start communicating.
or to get better at
communicating. I like it. Hey, Rosanne, good stuff.
Good stuff,
I'm
Corey.
stealing your tagline.
It is good stuff, though,
It
isn't
is
it?
good stuff. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see you soon. Brownie, what did you think? You've been communicating all day long.
I know. What does she want? She wants her
She's
butt scratched.
trying to tell us.
She wants her butt scratched. Yeah, she's looking a little.
She wants a treat.
Got a question on your mind, little tangle, hard to find. Pull up a chair, let's unwind. We'll talk it out together. We're just asking for a friend. Corey and Rosanne again. Laugh it off, learn as we go, turning I don't know into ooh. Now I get it in the end. Yeah, we're asking for a friend. Big dreams every day.